It's about two people, very different people, but I think that they share a very rare intelligence. They are both brilliant, ambitious, know how to manipulate other people, know how to adjust to bureaucratic organization, understand the language of the bureaucratic organization and how to speak it, and non-ideological people who don't have any ideology, and the way that these people cooperated with the Nazi and Stalinist regime. And so the book tried to depict the multiple reasons and the multiple environments in which they were living and what happened to them after they decided to collaborate with the regime. It's not exactly a book about families and the family unit. It's about people careers and people role in the world, and especially the crucial point is the way that your personal ethic encounter the ethic of the regime, the institution, the company, the ideology, and what happened to your ethic in this encounter, how your ethic bind and adjust and surrender because you need something from these forces. I don't think about good and bad when I write novels. I think novels always happens in this gray area that you can't really define, and you can't really say, oh, this is good, this is bad. Like, I don't like characters that you can always describe in one sentence. You say, this character is flawed because he is an autistic, he is an alcoholic. I think that literature works in multiple explanations for everything and always open the landscape for the reader and let him think instead of closing the landscape with the simplistic explanations. That this book is not about the Holocaust. This book deals with a totally different question, because I think there is this assumption that if you are Jewish and you write about the Second World War, you will write about the Holocaust. Now, I wanted to explore totally different questions. I don't want to ask the German, what have you done? It's not interesting in my point. I don't want to ask myself, what have I done? It's totally different historical periods. I think that an interesting historical novel creates this bridge between the historical period and our time and ask questions that are relevant to our time. I think that capitalism is much more sophisticated than Nazism or communism because they demand your total loyalty, and capitalism basically tells you, you criticize me, no problem. You want to criticize me, you want to say that you're a social democrat, a socialist, a communist, say whatever you want, just come work for me. And because capitalism is more inclusive by nature, it's a much more sophisticated ideology that people don't see it as an ideology. So I think that this is a question that the book raises. I think in Israel, a lot of people divide themselves. In one part of them cooperate with the government and with different institutions, and the other part is the political part who object to the previous part. And I think that this tendency to divide yourself is a very, very important thing in capitalism. It happened to many, many people that their career goes in a certain way, but the political abilities goes in another way, in totally contradictory way. I think it's very interesting and dangerous because this is what prevent real political change. One of the point of the book, and one of the, let's say, the rebellious motive of the book is to try to change this, boring and limited and sometimes racist discourse about the Holocaust. That we should look at it in another perspective and make it more complicated for us. So I think that basically the most important question about Israel right now is racism against non-Jewish. The Jewish state, the problem with it from the core is that this is a Jewish state for the Jews, and I think that this should be a state for the Israelis, because you can be a Jewish Israeli, a Palestinian Israeli, a Colombian Israeli, a Christian Israeli. So I think that instead of the exclusive Jewish society, we should open ourselves to an inclusive Israeli society.